Drive Time on RTÉ Radio 1 with Sarah McInerney and Cormac O'Hara.
Now, the Financial Services Union and AIB have today launched a menstrual health handbook for staff, which they say will help dispel the stigma associated with periods and bring menstrual health into the mainstream of work-related issues. Senior Industrial Relations Officer with the union is Mandy La Combre, and she's with me now. Mandy, you're very welcome.
Well, hi, thanks, Mill.
So why has this menstrual health handbook been launched?
Well, I suppose it's a joint initiative, as you say, between the FSU and the bank, and it's really a response to an issue that's rarely spoken about in the workplace. You might recall, Cormac, I was on your show in 2023 when I was discussing the results of our research on menstrual health as a workplace issue, where 96% of people said that they would welcome a policy in this area. So I suppose this is really a follow-on from that work where FSU was going out and speaking to employers around bringing guidance in place. And I have to say, we were totally pushing an open door with AIB, which was great. And when we tabled it with them, they were saying we'll pretty much take everything on board you're looking at. So that's really how this came about.
Okay, and I remember from that discussion, Mandy, we were kind of touching on the fear of the unknown, the ignorance about all of this, and then the stigma because of it. So what does this handbook cover?
Well, the handbook includes, as importantly, educating managers and people leaders, which is really important. We know that there are a number of period-related illnesses, including endometriosis and PCOS, etc., that people aren't really kind of aware of how the side effects and how this would impact the workplace. So the education piece around managers and dispelling the stigma associated with periods by encouraging managers to talk about it and for people to speak up and having that open environment. So that's very much spelled out in the handbook as well. There are, of course, a number of practical and environmental supports as well. So there are things, laid out like paid sick leave for severe period-related symptoms, with period-related absence then not triggering attendance review process, which is really important because, we do hear about women potentially being managed out of the workplace because of, excessive absence, etc. So that's really welcome. But I suppose as well, it's not just good to focus on that kind of paid sick leave element. I think when we talk to our members about what they want, they would always say that things like temporary adjustment to work duties or work patterns or environment is needed is much more important. Kind of the flexibilities around working and just being, I suppose, knowing that your employer is allowing you to speak up about this and have the conversations is really, really so super important.
Okay, and this is being launched just in time for tomorrow's International Women's Day as well. But I would add, actually, that I'm glad to be talking to you about this because we need men to read this handbook as well to help dispel the stigma and to help dispel the ignorance around all of this.
We do, Cormac, and you'd be delighted to know that the men that have been involved in both my own union and also in the banking sector around this issue have been really, really positive about it. They are actually looking, like senior people in AIB were so supportive about this because they wanted that education piece and they wanted managers to be talking about it and people leaders talking about it. So it is something, I think, that, we do need to stop the stigma associated with periods. We do need to educate people to the associated health effects. And we do need to provide, stringent workplace supports where needed.
Well, you know what? I'm glad to be talking to you about it, but there are men and women telling me that I'm way over time here, Mandy. So happy International Women's Day tomorrow. And thank you very much indeed for joining us. That's Senior Industrial Relations Officer with the FSU, Mandy La Combre.